Okay, I think it's time we start talking about U.S. citizenship, because if you think being a U.S. citizen makes you safe from deportation under this Trump administration, I need you to listen closely, because right now...
Hello family, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. On today's episode, we'll be concentrating on Trump's administration deporting lawfully U.S. citizens. With the FAFO moment greatly taking shape in U.S., 3 children were reportedly deported by ICE. The 3 were ages of 2, 4, and 7 years from Louisiana. With the parents entering US illegally, the children US citizens lawfully since they were born in the United States. Let's watch the following videos.
Now, under Trump's second term, we're seeing something that we're never supposed to see in a constitutional democracy. American citizens are being deported. I'm talking about babies, cancer patients, legal residents, sent across borders, sometimes without hearings, without lawyers, and without their medicine, and without basic due process. That's not a mistake. That's not a glitch. That's a sign. 3 U.S. citizen children, one just 2 years old, another battling stage 4 cancer, were deported to Honduras with their mothers, and when the judge asked the government to verify if the mother really chose to take her children, it was too late. The plane had already taken off. Now, let that sink in. A U.S. citizen child with cancer was deported without her medication. And when Congress had a chance to put in protections to make sure that this never happens again, House Republicans voted it down. So I don't want to hear this isn't who we are, because apparently this is what we're becoming, okay? Unless we decide to stop it. And look, I get it. Trump says that he's only targeting criminals. But here's the truth. Once you break the law to exile citizens, once you ignore courts' orders to sideline immigration judges, you're not just fighting crime. You're fighting the Constitution. And even worse, Trump has already openly floated the idea of sending U.S. citizens, the so-called homegrown criminals, to foreign prisons. He even joked that mistakes are just part of life. That's not leadership. That is authoritarianism testing the waters. So here's what we have to understand, that the Constitution protects all citizens from unlawful exile. Due process isn't optional. It's a cornerstone of democracy. And when government starts picking and choosing who gets to stay based on politics, race, or convenience, nobody's safe. Our citizenship is truly safe. So we are witnessing the slow erosion of the rule of law, one executive order at a time. And if we don't fight back with knowledge, with votes, with lawsuits, with clarity, we're going to wake up in a country where your rights only exist until someone more powerful says they don't. So I'll leave you with this. Citizenship without rights is just paperwork, and democracy without accountability is just theater. Now is the time to choose fear or freedom. What side are you on?
Breaking news. Trump just deported 3 U.S. citizens out of Louisiana, with one being a 4-year-old girl with stage 4 cancer who was deported with her mother without medication or the ability to contact their respective doctors. Now, according to one of the family's lawyers, both families was taken into custody while attending routine check-ins in New Orleans as part of the intensive supervision appearance program, which allows individuals to remain in their respective communities while undergoing immigration proceedings. The families have since then been moved to Alexandria, 3 hours from New Orleans, where they won't be able to communicate with their respective families. Instead, they will be on a flight to Honduras. And according to sources, ICE is refusing to allow women to communicate with their children if they aren't the ones being deported.
The story of these kids having to face deportation proceedings alone is just heartbreaking. Listen to what this judge had to say to a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and 4-year-old. Quote, "The reason we're here is because the government of the United States wants you to leave the United States. And it's my job to figure out if you have to leave." Can you imagine comprehending that at 4 or even 8? These kids have no parents present, no attorneys, and now we're getting stories that U.S. citizen children are being deported. We found out today that ICE deported 3 kids who were U.S. citizens, and they're separating families again. I understand you might be upset about immigration because you've been brainwashed, but these are kids. It is not anywhere close to okay to do this to kids just to try and discourage people from coming. And if you're a Christian, remember the thing that God judges nations the most on in the Bible is how welcoming they are. There are just so many reasons to get in the streets right now.
So in the case of the 2-year-old that was deported by the awful administration that we have, I'm trying to be better with my words, gets even worse. The father and the mother had granted custody of the U.S. citizen child to the U.S. citizen aunt and requested several times over and over for ICE to release the child and give it to the person who had custody, who's a fucking U.S. citizen. And they didn't do it because they did not care. They ignored over and over the request that this person was making. And before some red hatter says something stupid, yes, they were speaking English. Now, tell me again how this is about law and order. If every time they want to do something, they just walk over the laws and they don't give a fuck. And then the red hats come around and start making excuses for them, like they did in my comments. Like, well, if you don't come to this country, it's like, shut up, man. Like, the amount of stupidity that they say to just cover up for these people is incredible. And it's okay. Keep doing that. Because one day, when history remembers this time, those people are going to have to answer to their children and to their grandchildren. What the fuck did they do when this kind of stuff was going on?
We have some news right now. In the past 24 hours, we learned that the Trump administration has deported at least 4 children, all of whom are U.S. citizens. And I want to highlight 2 specific cases. The first is one of the children has metastatic cancer, was deported without their medication, without a treatment plan, without access to their doctors that have been in the United States of America. The second is this 2-year-old that was deported without sufficient due process, according to a federal judge in Louisiana. These aren't the only cases of U.S. citizens being deported. They're just 2 of them. And while according to allegations, they were deported alongside their mother, who may not have been a United States citizen, that doesn't matter because the children themselves are U.S. citizens and have rights, have due process rights under the law. Now, the mother too, whether or not you are a citizen or not, you have due process rights. But the children can remain in the United States if they want to, and if a parent or legal guardian is a citizen and petitions for them to do so. And while the Trump administration is playing fast and loose with immigration policy and immigration rules right now, I'm going to do a full breakdown.
So now the mainstream media is trying to make Americans believe that ICE is going into people's homes to arrest, handcuff, and deport 2, 3, 4-year-olds. They refuse to report the full story that they're deporting their parents that are here in the U.S. illegally. And you are one dumb motherfucker if you believe this shit. Even when I used to hate Donald Trump, I used to say, why would you put yourself in that position where you come into the U.S. illegally, you have a child here that becomes an American, and you try to anchor yourself down into this country? You know damn well that's not how it works. You don't just cross the border, have a child, and then they're supposed to automatically give you citizenship. You put yourself in that situation where if they find you, they're going to deport you. You don't get to have a citizenship just because you cross the border. One day, yeah, your child is an American now. One day when your child is old enough, they can come back into this country and build a future here. Many countries don't have this benefit where you just get to cross the border and then bam, you have a baby that belongs to that country. That's why Trump wants to get rid of that in the Constitution, which is probably never going to happen. That's going to be the biggest war he'll ever have. It's never going to happen. If it does happen, it's actually pretty good. But I don't really think it's going to go through. I don't think these communists have anything to fight for anymore. Everything they're fighting for makes zero sense. They're fighting to keep illegal immigrants that are a danger to Americans here in our neighborhoods. They fight more for illegal immigrants than they fight for the American people. And you know what? Keep this up, you stupid idiots, because in midterms, we're going to show you that the American people continue to trust Donald Trump.
A lot of talk in the nation right now about a 2-year-old who's being deported to Honduras. this is what the news is forgetting to tell you. This child was born in America in 2023. This child's parents are illegal immigrants. They came into America illegally. They're being deported back to their home country of Honduras, and they're taking their child with them. When President Trump took office, he said if a family is deported, the whole family will go with them, regardless if their child was born in America. The people we should be mad at for doing this is actually our past administration, because they allowed anybody to come into America all over the world. They knew that our borders were open. If you came into America, you would get free housing, free clothing, free food. You would even be able to have your baby for free in America, and that baby would become an American citizen. So that family took the opportunity, came to America, had their baby, gave up everything to come to America, paid the cartel thousands of dollars. Now they're being sent back to Honduras, and the person the media is mad at is the Trump administration. No one is talking about the Biden administration and how they allowed all these people to come into America under false hopes. Let me know your thoughts on this one. This baby is being deported with its family.
There's now 4 American children I'm aware of that have been deported, meaning children that have been born in the United States have been deported to other countries without due process. The story talks about 2 families that were deported last night. And amongst those 2 families were 3 children, ages 2, 4, and 7. One of those children has metastatic cancer and was deported without medication. And then a few weeks ago, there was another 2-year-old that was deported to Honduras. None of these American children born here, were removed with due process. If that doesn't wrench you in the gut like it does me, then I don't know what will. You have a tiny American child with cancer deported without due process, without medication.
It's not America first when you deport a 4-year-old American child with metastatic brain cancer without medications and without any consultations with her doctors to ensure continuity of care. Nor can you claim to be the party of family values when you intentionally separate a woman married to an American citizen from her breastfeeding child who suffers from a seizure disorder back to her home country while she was attending a routine ICE appointment, which she attended because she wanted to do the right thing in order to get her green card. Nor do you get to claim that you care about the future for American children's lives when a 2-year-old American child was deported to Honduras when she had a place to stay in the United States. However, the father was told that if he attempted to pick her up from ICE custody, he would be deported. It's time that the party of America First and family values admits what this is actually about, which is white Americans first and brown people can leave.
We just learned that a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old, all U.S. citizens, all born in the United States, were deported this week. The 2-year-old, her parents are from Honduras, undocumented. And she was born in New Orleans. And a Trump-appointed judge is very upset with the government right now because the government claimed that the mother requested her daughter to come with her to Honduras. And a judge says, well, you might tell me that, but I need evidence of it. And before the judge got evidence of it, they just deported the 2-year-old. One of the other children has a rare form of cancer. ICE was notified of this, notified of the child's medical needs. Reportedly, the child didn't get to see a doctor, didn't get any of the medicine they needed, and was deported anyways. All U.S. citizens.
So now that the House of Representatives has effectively passed a bill that now will go to the Senate that will legally allow the administration to deport U.S. citizens, I have some follow-up points of negotiation that I would like to give to you. Number 1, do I get to pick the destination? If you give me a list of like 5 to 10 countries, I will elect my top 3 and you get back to me on what you can do with that. Number 2, you're going to cancel my student loans, right? Because I can't use my education obtained here in the next country. I will have to go back to school. So you should probably go ahead and cancel that, as well as credit me back all the money that I have busted my ass to pay to you to pay those student loans off. Number 3, can I volunteer as tribute? Do we have to commit a crime to be deported? Is there a list to sign up? I think that would be a great idea if you're trying to like offload some people. I think many would volunteer for this. Number 4, credit scores, debt. You're going to cancel that, right? Because if I'm no longer a citizen, I don't think I should have to adhere to credit scores or pay back any debt that I acquired as a citizen here. That should be like null and void. I think that's a great idea. Number 5, are you paying for my move? I think there should be like some incentive, reimbursement, relocation assistance. I think you should pay for it. As long as I didn't commit a crime to get deported, if I volunteered, I think it should be on your dime. Because I've been paying my taxes for years now, and I think that's the least that you can do is go ahead and pay for my move to the next country.
America is officially fucked. Republicans just voted against protecting American citizens from actually being deported. Every single House Republican voted no to an amendment that would stop ICE from using federal resources to detain or deport U.S. citizens. That means they're totally fine with American citizens born and raised here getting caught up and kicked the fuck out. Let that shit sink in.
Did you know that Donald Trump just signed an executive order to deport U.S. citizens? Yes, I said that right. This all ties back to Trump's immigration plan. It expands his presidential powers. And I know this may sound crazy, but guess what? It's some Republicans backing him. John Cotton and J.D. Vance, just to name a few. We're not talking about undocumented immigrants. We're talking about U.S. citizens. How do you know if you ain't next? This bill potentially blurs the line on who's a U.S. citizen and what rights you have. Y'all know power like this is dangerous. And history has already shown us what the government does when they turn on their own people. But y'all know what? What if this is a distraction by Donald? Every time he in hot water, he try to distract us. Having court dates, another rally, a new indictment. Then he make a wild promise. This is his pattern. And y'all, I think it's working. While we over here debating about what we can see, y'all, what about what we can't see? It's called shock and awe. You flood the zone with noise, so the truth get lost in the static. So is Donald Trump hiding something? Y'all, he probably is. But one thing we do know, he trying to control the story. So stay focused, stay sharp, and don't get played. Stay informed and stay alert.
Right now, you're not going to believe this. I'm stunned that I have to tell you this. Republicans just voted, every single one of them, to allow Donald Trump to deport U.S. citizens. Not like deport unlawful, violent immigrants. No. They just voted in our committee to allow Donald Trump to deport U.S. citizens. That's where this is going. They just voted to allow that. I've never thought I would see this before. I never thought it would come to this, but that's where we are right now. And so just on the other side of these doors is the hearing that I'm in right now. I'm going to get back in a second because we're still voting on other matters, but it's not shocking because this is always where it was going to go, but that's a dictatorship. That's a dictatorship. It's a fucking dictatorship when you allow a president to deport your own constituents. And learn the names of every Republican on the House Judiciary Committee because they just did that. They just voted to allow Donald Trump to deport American citizens. I mean, it's one of the most shocking things I've seen. I think my Democratic colleagues were stunned that they would want to give him so much power. But that's where it's going. It's not going to be a completed dictatorship, though, and I want to tell you why. He has the ambitions of being a dictator. For it to be a completed dictatorship, he needs you to not show up to the town square. He needs the press to not independently cover him, and he needs the courts to not hold him accountable. He should have a check by Congress. That's gone. These guys are not doing it. It's gone. But right now, the press is independently covering him. Courts continue to hold him accountable, and you keep going to the town square. So that's the sand in the gears of a dictatorship, and we gotta amp it up. We have to amp it up. Again, I just want to tell you why I invited you in here. House Judiciary Committee right now in Congress, Republicans just voted to allow Donald Trump to deport American citizens. This is the same week that we learned that the president deported a 4-year-old American citizen with cancer. And this is where they're taking us. But we're not helpless. We're not helpless at all. You are awakened. You are going to the town squares. We have small victories that will bring us big victories. We're going to cut our time in hell in half by changing the majority in Congress and putting a check in place. Let me get back into this hearing, but I wanted to tell you, as soon as I sat in that room and saw that vote, Republicans on the Judiciary Committee just voted for Donald Trump to deport American citizens. Fuck that. We're not letting that happen.
Trump administration isn't having any mercy even on children. Having passed a law, the judicial system is behind Donald Trump, giving him the powers to deport US citizens. Is this really making America again? Even sick children are not getting spared like in the case of the cancer child getting deported. Do you support these Americans? Let me know what you think about the deportation of US citizens on the comment section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you, family.